Welcome. This is Jane Gardner, and it's Solopreneur Success Strategies again. And today it's Get Your Message Out Tuesday, where we're going to be talking about your brand in an effort to define your brand in order to realize how to use it for your social media and for your website. So welcome, and please go to Solopreneur Success Strategies at jane-gardner.com/SSS to see the video of the show. So thank you for listening as well. So hi, I'm Jane Gardner, and I would like to thank you for coming by to listen to me. I'm going to change it to another mode and talk about Implement Club, where everything is where we go and we learn how to implement things like XSplit or webinars or Hangouts, etc. But today we're going to talk about branding on Get Your Message Out Tuesday. But first of all, I guess I should introduce myself again for anyone who hasn't been here before. I'm Jane Gardner. I work with my husband for the last 20 years in our home-based engineering company. We in the Western Canada there. We have dogs and cats. We travel, and I'm an artist, and I love to do memes. And I have a few websites. So hope you come and meet me sometime and talk to me at jgardner@jane-gardner.com. That's my website for getting to know me. And so today we're going to be talking about getting your message out with branding. Last week, we talked about your brand briefly and how it's not really the logos and your colors, etc., which is your brand. It's basically your personality. It's your business strategy. It's what your message is when you're out in the community. It's everything that people learn about you when you're out in the community. So let's just have a look at the training today where we go further into it. So the training for today is personal branding versus business branding. Excuse me. And if you want to see the video of the show, you can go to http://jgtips.com/GYMOT. And I always have the current episode on that page. But in the meanwhile, we're going to try and find where I put my slides. So hey, let's do the logo again. Anyway, here we are. And as I mentioned before, I'm Jane Gardner of jane-gardner.com. And we're going to be talking about getting your message out. So we're starting with branding because there's 3.5 probably by now billion people, internet users online, and you want to go find your tribe. You want to find the people who will resonate with you in terms of your business. And there's plenty of them out there for you to go find. So last week we talked about you and your brand. The brand is not your logo and your colors. It's what everyone who visits your business should know about your business in terms of your values, your message, what you believe in, etc., as well, of course, what your product is. So your messaging is your brand. It comes from your values and standards in your business. So there's two types of brands. There's the personal brand, and then there's the business brand. So let's have a look at each today. And then next week we'll go further into how we define use logos, etc., and colors to help people find us with our message. But a personal brand are the skills and qualities that you bring to your business. It's your unique voice. It's how everybody learns about you in terms of your business For example, I have a personal brand of jane-gardner.com, and I felt that even though in general, I probably wouldn't put myself out there as jane-gardner.com, I felt that in order for you to connect with me and trust me and get to know me, I'd have to show my face, naturally. And that's one of the ways that you do that is by talking about what you believe in and your values. Talk about your skills and what you bring to the business. And it's basically a personal brand. So it's all about who you are, what you believe in, what you stand for and against, what are your core values, why are you doing what you are doing as a business, and what you can bring to other people to have them become your customer or client. So, for example, every show I always open up about who I am and how I'm in a home-based business with my husband for 20 years. Today I forgot to mention why I'm out here on the internet. So it's not a good day for me to talk about it, is it? Since I forgot to say it. But if you've heard me before, about 3 years ago, I came out onto the internet to see how I could share my skills as a home business entrepreneur with others and help them also have their own home business and get the freedom of having control over their own life by having their own business. So anyway, personal branding is about being yourself, those who like what you have to say, what you're willing to do for them, and how you can serve your customers. This will all resonate with the customers who it resonates with, who are your customers. So these will also be the repeat customers who resonate to your brand and who believe in the same things that you do, or who feel that you'll be the one who'll be able to give them the product or service that they need to be the solution to their problem. So in the end, even though we'll talk about business branding, both of them have the same objective, and that is for you to be the solution to the problem or to fulfill the desire of what your potential customer wants. So, of course, you can't fulfill everybody's desire or do everybody's problem. So you have to go and define what you feel is your solution and go and look for defining your customers, which we do on World Domination Wednesday, in order to define what the messaging will be for your brand. So in a way, World Domination Wednesday, where we talk about customers and trying to define your customers, is interrelated with your brand. Because until you know what your messaging will be, until you are able to actually speak your message, to be free to talk about the things you stand for and stand against, you won't really be your personal brand, because people will just look at you and wonder, well, what does this person do, and why should I follow them? But for example, a very easy idea for a personal brand is Oprah. She, of course, everybody knows Oprah, what she believes in, and what things that she's willing to stand for, what she's willing to promote, what she's willing to produce, what books she loves. And the Rolling Stones, they're also a brand. No one else can be the Rolling Stones. We all know what they believe in or what they stand for, and they are basically icons in that way. For the people who follow it, and even for the people who don't follow them, they are their personal brand. And I, of course, would like to have my own personal brand so that you know who I am. But it's something you have to work on. You just can't go out there and say, I have a personal brand. You have to get to have people get to know you and like you. Now, a business brand is all about the perceived value of the product or service that they are doing. Usually there's a CEO of a business who stands out front and he represents or she represents the business. For example, the CEO of Lululemon, he was always very vocal and talking about his values. and you usually knew what Lululemon stood for until, of course, they became a big corporation. Then they got into some trouble, and he had to step down because he made the mistake of saying things that were against his message. But anyway, that's another story. So a business brand is all about the perceived value of the product or service. So, for example, you could probably look at the shoe on the left, and for those of you on audio, it's a Nike shoe, and we all recognize it by the logo and the symbol on the shoe, and probably the uniqueness of the shoe colors, etc. Whereas the boots on the right are basically brandless as far as knowing who made them. I'm sure the person or business who makes those boots knows what their brand is, but for most of us, we wouldn't know what the brand is. So Nike has a perceived value of uniqueness, of authority, of it being a very wealthy company, etc. But you can tell the difference between the Nike shoe and boots. So the business has a perceived value, and they work with the perceived value for their business by using their visual elements of the business, including the logo and the graphics and the colors and the shapes of everything in their business. And then they look at their name and their slogan and their tagline, so that you know their tagline, and we'll go a little bit further into that next week. But then they also maybe they use a symbol of say Tony the Tiger. We all know what business from my age of generation anyway knows what Tony the Tiger represents and what company, because of the consistency of the advertising, as well as them getting out there into the marketplace. So the business's brand goal is to keep them first in your mind when you are looking for the product. So, for example, you could probably tell the difference yourself between Pepsi and Coca-Cola, but we all know the logos and the taglines for Coca-Cola or Pepsi, and we'll talk a little bit about that next week and how you can maybe create your own logo and graphics, etc., for your business. But I just wanted to talk about today the difference between a personal brand and a business brand. For me, a personal brand is basically for all companies, whether you're a business or you have a personal brand. You always have to make sure that the company is vocal about what they believe in, what their mission is, what they are willing to do for their customers, etc. So they always want to keep themselves top of the customer's mind. And one of those ways for either a personal or a business brand is to stand out and say what they believe in. Maybe have a mission statement, and maybe they sponsor a charity that's dear to their heart, so that the customer is aware that when they're thinking of, oh, I could use a drink today, they know whether they're going to try a Pepsi or a Coke, because, well, probably they're a Coke lover, so they just automatically go for a Coke. But if I want to go get a shoe, I know which shoe brand that I want to get versus another shoe brand, which is double the price, and the other shoe is just as good as the first shoe. But that's my customer preference. So this is just a little bit about what a brand is, and next week we'll look at how you can identify a brand and create a brand so that it can be something unique. But first, of course, just as with customers on World Domination Wednesday, you have to figure out what the customer wants. So we'll also be doing a little bit of brief discussion of looking at who your target market is and your customers and what they want, and how you can use that in terms of your brand. So thank you for listening today. Next week, I'll have an offer for you. It's not quite ready, but it'll be something that you can do to work on this process if you're new to business and you want to work on creating your brand and your messaging. It's all about your messaging. This whole show is about messaging, getting your message out Tuesday. But until you can figure out what your messages are, what your values are, what your mission is, and what you're willing to stand for and stand against, and what your promise is to other people in terms of your business, and what your promise is for them, you have to do this first. So you have to figure out for yourself first what you're going to stand for and stand against, and what your promise will be and your commitment to others in terms of your business, in terms of your customer service, in terms of what you feel you'll be able to give them and solve their problems for them, etc. Before you can even start messaging. So next week I'll talk about maybe my messaging and also other ways that people message, and also we'll talk a little bit about logos, which aren't terribly important. They do create the idea that if you stick it on something, obviously like a Nike shoe, you know it's a Nike shoe, but that's with a lot of heavy advertising. They've been able to make you recognize it. But anyway, so this is Jane Gardner of jane-gardner.com/SSS. And I don't have a slide for it, but I will have probably by tomorrow a free ebook on personal branding versus business branding, which you can get at http://jgtips.com/GYMOT, which is basically the current show of Get Your Message Out Tuesday, and below that there'll be an opt-in to get the book Personal Branding versus Business Branding. It has a few more examples in there and a lot more about what the things you have to think about in terms of your brand, in terms of your consistency and your values. And there's just a couple of worksheets in there as well to help you start working on your brand. So I hope to see you next week, and we'll delve deeper into brand. And thank you for listening. This is Jane Gardner of jane-gardner.com. Bye.